The Las Vegas Raiders draft can be summed up in two ways: leaders and projects. Day one of the draft held little surprise because thanks to the Ravens, we only had one draft pick and Fernando Mendoza was the top pick of the draft. Done.
Fernando Mendoza.
Should we have traded back into round one? Honestly, it doesn't really matter. We didn't, and there weren't really a lot of good prospects there anyways to trade back into the first to get. But by day two, the plan was starting to take shape with the signature trade back that Spytek in just 2 years with the Raiders is becoming known for.
We had a group of players that we really liked at that spot too. So if for some reason he had gone, you only got to survive really 2 picks at that point.
After trading back a couple of steps, Spytek drafted Tradian Stukes, a safety, one of 2 safeties from Arizona that honestly kind of came out of nowhere because I think I only saw one single person who had Stukes mock drafted to the Raiders. And at pick 67, the trust in Rob Leonard was starting to take shape. And in fact, defense would dominate this draft, showing that there's a reason they hired Rob Leonard, even though he was not really a projected candidate who had one interview, and after that one interview was apparently so good that they just decided to hire him for the DC job.
That's how I operate. You guys with me? Tunnel vision like we talked about.
And now rewarding him with a lot of, as I said before, projects, indicating that whatever they heard from Rob Leonard is making them very excited to stack up this defense with people who have a lot of talent, but they need a mentor to make those talents turn into regular playing times and even potential superstars. Nowhere was this more apparent when the Raiders decided to trade away Tyree Wilson, a project from 3 years ago that apparently Rob Leonard has not been able to materialize anything good from, and hence shipped him over to the New Orleans Saints for what the Raiders described as a fresh start for both parties. And on that point, I do agree, even though admittedly I was a little bit disappointed that we traded away Tyree Wilson. And then with that pick, the Raiders and Spytek decided to draft the second Arizona safety, Dalton Johnson, to pair with his best friend in Arizona, Stukes. And then leading to the biggest shocker of the night was trading up one step to draft Jermart McCoy, one of the best, in my opinion, second best cornerback from this year's draft, with one little asterisk that Raider Nation, we do have to go over real quickly, because there is a chance that he doesn't play football ever again. Yes, there is a legitimate chance that that could happen, although it would be pretty rare in 2026 to have a player get injured, so much so that there's no way of repairing the damaged ligaments or bone or whatever it is. But we do need to acknowledge that Jermart McCoy fell all the way to the 4th because, yes, there is a very good chance he doesn't play football ever again because of the injury, that he may need a second surgery to repair, and even after that, he still may not be able to play football anymore. However, if he is healthy, this will go down as the biggest steal, not only in this draft, but probably in the draft for the past several years. Because if Jermart McCoy is healthy, as I said, he's the second best cornerback in this draft and one of the best college cornerbacks coming out of college in the past 5 years. Yes, that's how good he is. So then it does make you wonder if teams are willing to pass on somebody so good. Maybe there really is a major problem with that knee. And by the end of third day, it was pretty clear that Spytek and company went into this draft with a clear plan. Because once we saw the people that they drafted, it was pretty clear that the plan was we need people who can start right away, hence your leaders, like Stukes, who was already 25 years old, and as a result should be starting day one for the Raiders in the safety position that is so desperately needed, so that Jeremy Chin can then drop back down into the box safety role that he's better at. Even Palomar is really a better strong safety than he is a free safety, so getting Stukes does ensure that we have a ball hawk in the back that can get those one-on-ones. And yes, even a cursory look at Stooks' gameplay shows you one really good thing that I'm going to go over in another video focusing specifically on Stooks. So if you are waiting for that video, hit the like, hit the subscribe. That video should be coming out, I believe, on Tuesday, focusing specifically on Stooks and what he brings to the Raiders. But one really cool fact about him that you should know is he does not get a lot of penalties. Go look it up. I believe he has the lowest penalty rate of DBs in all of college this past year, which is really good because that means that he knows how to position his body to get the ball without putting too much hands on the wide receiver. And that leads us nicely into Kyron Crawford leading what I believe will be the projects for Rob Leonard to figure out how to utilize him and how to get the best out of them. On Tuesday, I am also going to release a breakdown video of Kyron. Sorry, it's gonna be hard to say his name. Of Kyron Crawford to kind of break down his strengths, and there are some particularly really good strengths, such as the use of his hands, that I think could really translate into something incredible, but some weaknesses that could potentially make him not as good as he could potentially be. And with that, the Raiders closed the chapter on the draft, and the end result, according to a lot of pundits, seems to be A+ and A's, even though there are a few outliers out there. But when it's all said and done, given how many times Spytek traded down to get some value and then coming away with Jamont McCoy, I do believe this will prove to be an excellent draft, even though, as I said, I'm not particularly happy with the trading away of Tyree Wilson. I do believe we had something there that was, in my opinion, honestly worth looking into, but not anymore. So let's hope that the safety that we got, the strong safety, the best friend of Stooks, could potentially end up being a 1-2 punch in the NFL for the Raiders, assuming both of them are ready to play football. But then that is a summation of this particular draft. There are some players who are clearly ready to play football right now, such as Stooks. The vast majority of these players that we drafted are going to need a little bit of help just to get into the next level, to understand what the pro game is. But one player that really may come out of all of this at the top of everything, starting day one, would be the offensive guard that we got in Zane, who is an offensive guard / center hybrid, meaning that at the very least he will be a really good backup to both Meredith, JPJ, and Lindenbaum should one of them go down. And as we all know, the biggest problems the Raiders have been having on the O-line for the past several years has been injuries, particularly to Colt Miller and JPJ. So getting somebody like Zane may work out right away. Also, at the very least, may work out for the Raiders in the long term because he may be able to take positions when somebody goes down. So when it's all said and done, I would say this is a great draft for the Raiders. I don't have a letter grade for this because, to be honest, a lot of these players were not players that I slotted to the Raiders, but a lot of them were positions that I did believe that the Raiders were going to need help in, including running back, which, let me just say, Mike Washington, given his size and speed, may be a really good 1-2 punch for Jeanty, but given the way Jeanty plays, I do believe Jeanty is a clear number one running back for the Raiders. But as I said, every position of need was addressed. Perhaps not as high as some Raider fans want, because yes, as early as round 2, we were already calling for a wide receiver such as Boston, who was not drafted by the Raiders, and that fact is created a lot of friction within Raider Nation right now because we are already asking the question, do we have enough wide receivers to compete next year? However, given that this draft was so stacked full of defensive players, I do think Spytek and Rob Leonard and Kubiak made a good decision to focus heavily on beefing up the Raider defense, and I do believe that this is going to prove to be a magnificent strategy. Thank you for watching. As always, please like and subscribe. I do need your help growing this channel. This channel cannot grow without Raider Nation. So if you are Raider Nation, if you bleed silver and black, please do like these videos and subscribe to the channel. Have a wonderful day.
Dominate when I come out, they like where from?